You know, I've been collecting controllers for several years. I've gone through many different types of controllers, everything from third-party, crappy Nintendo Switch controllers like this one here, made by I think Power A, yeah, Power A, to first-party PlayStation 5 controllers of many different shades of colors. You know, I've always loved controllers. I don't know why, but it got me thinking today, which controller, honestly, between the main three consoles, your Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation, which one of these is the most premium? Easily answered, at least in my opinion. That definitely goes to this guy here, the PlayStation 5 controller. But at the same time, I don't find myself using this controller really ever. It's completely compatible with PC. I have synced it to my computer before and used it for PC gaming. But the battery life on this is terrible. It's awful. It's like maybe 4 or 5 hours of battery life. You can get a little bit more by turning off the microphone, which is on by default. Why it's on by default, I don't know, but it's on by default. But it was bad enough, man, that I actually went out of my way to buy a charging cradle. It's the only first-party controller that I bought a charging cradle for, and I bought more than one controller for the system because during long gaming sessions, the controllers die, so I have to swap controllers out. I've never had that issue with a first-party controller before. So, you know, that leaves a little bit to be desired in the department of the PlayStation 5 controller, and it's really unfortunate because this controller is a fully featured first-party controller. It's extremely well designed, except for that battery life. It's a huge drawback. I mean, you've got motion, you've got the adaptive triggers, which I know some people don't like the adaptive triggers. I personally think it's a really fun feature. I like it a lot, but it's just unfortunate. And I know that this is a hot take, but I actually enjoy the separated D-pad buttons. I don't find myself misinputting as often with a D-pad that is separated like this one. I mean, I know it's one solid plastic underneath, like the whole thing is one piece of solid plastic, but the illusion is there. Which brings us to this guy. First party Nintendo Switch Pro controller. I've got a lot to say about this guy. I have, out of these three controllers here, this is by far the one I have spent the most time with. I'm a huge Nintendo fan, so that's not terribly surprising. But I've also used this quite extensively for PC gaming. Because yes, you can connect your Switch controller to PC, and Steam does a fairly decent job of figuring out how to map the Switch's buttons to an Xbox controller's buttons. Like most games, not all, but most games I've played work just fine. Just fine with this guy. I know that a lot of people like having analog triggers. Personally, I don't really care about having analog triggers. The digital triggers here in the back are just fine for me. I don't play a lot of racing games. I don't really, I just don't play games that use that feature, really. So having the digital triggers was never really an issue for me. It's got the NFC, it's got, the motion controls, HD rumble, which this also has HD rumble. It's a very nice control. It's extraordinarily comfortable. In terms of comfort, this one is by far the best. For me personally, it fits my hands like it was crafted for my hands. It is premium comfort. And then you hit the downsides. So what are the downsides of this controller? Well, let me show you. Let me get these out of the way. There is one major downside to the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. Why do I have 5 Pro controllers? I don't have 5 people to play. I have 5 Pro controllers because each one of these, the joysticks are shot, completely shot on them. The drift is unreal on this one here, this guy right here. And that is a huge, huge shame. Like, I find that the joysticks wear out on these controllers faster than any other controller I've ever used in my entire life. And it's a shame, man. It's a shame. We're gonna get to some reasons to that, though, I think. But let's put these off to the side. All these completely ruined controllers. This one here is still all right, but as you can see, it's got a thick, thick layer of dust on it. Because this is the one I go for, man. If I'm going to play Switch games and I'm wanting to use a first-party controller, I'm going to grab the Tears of the Kingdom controller because it's the one that has the least mileage on it. So that joystick is still pretty good, still pretty new. This one's a little on the looser side, and especially in games like Smash Bros., which is probably why these controllers wear out as fast as they do. Let's just be real. I find that my character will turn around when I'm not wanting it to turn around, or, you know, I'll try to do a smash attack and it won't register. Yeah, so it's really, really unfortunate. Which brings us to our next guy, and hot take, my least favorite of all the first-party controllers, the Xbox controller. So, I'm just going to level with you. The reason I don't like this controller is this right here. I know that some people would see this as a benefit because a lot of times the first thing to die on a controller, if it's not the joysticks, is the battery. The battery doesn't hold a charge. That is actually what happened to one of my third-party 8-bit Do controllers. The controller refuses to hold a charge, and that controller is now done. I can't do anything with it. But I paid, and this is the part. You would think that because this controller, it does not have motion controls, it does not have HD rumble, it is just a controller. It does have analog triggers, which the triggers feel fantastic, by the way. I do have to say, the joysticks, even the D-pad, man, even the D-pad. Listen to that click. Such a nice click. The texture, everything else feels pretty nice. Like, I love this rough texture that's on the back here. It keeps my sweaty freaking hands from slipping off the controller. It's pretty nice. It feels like a premium controller, except it's lacking most of the features of the other first-party controllers. And then if you compare it to this guy, it comes short in every category. Every category. And again, this is my opinion, but you would think that because it doesn't have a lot of the features the other controllers has, that this controller would be cheaper. It's not. It's not cheaper. I paid $60 for this controller. $10 less than this guy. What? You're gonna make me pay $60 and you're not even gonna give me a freaking charging back? Like, at least put a charging pack in here that I can replace if need be. But no, they sell that to you separately, so then you have an additional charge to get it up to the standard of the other controllers. That's freaking crazy to me. So, this controller very quickly became just a dust collector for me. Because I got tired of putting freaking batteries in it, dude. So, I mean, even if you were to say that you can save this controller because you can replace the batteries, you already have spent more on this one than you have this one because you have to buy batteries, and batteries are terribly expensive. Unless you buy the charging pack, which makes it as expensive, if not more, than this one. Why, Xbox? Why couldn't that have come with that? Why could the charging pack not come with the controller? If you're not going to have the motion controls or the HD rumble or the NFC or any of that stuff, why not put the charging pack in? That would immediately have made this controller better than the Pro controller for me. Because in terms of comfort, this also has that same feel for it. It feels like it was crafted for my hands. I love how this controller feels. Hate the face buttons. I absolutely hate the face buttons. There's just, ugh. They just feel kind of loose. I don't know. I will say, this is a Series S controller. I don't know if there's a difference between the Series S controllers and the actual Series X controllers, because I don't own a Series X or S. I have a gaming PC. If that is the case, and they're all the same across the board, that's a very odd choice to me. And I don't find myself ever reaching for this, which brings me to my biggest issue with all of these first-party controllers. Every single one of these controllers are overpriced. This one is like 80 bucks, this one's like 70 bucks, and this one's still, you know, like $65 to $70, depending on if you can get it on sale or not. I actually got mine on sale, and I still, Xbox Y. They're all overpriced, across the board. And these controllers, from third parties, in my opinion, kind of invalidate these first-party offerings from PlayStation, Microsoft, and Nintendo. So let me get into those real quick. So we have the 8BitDo controller here. This is my absolute favorite Pro controller for the Switch. This thing is ridiculously comfortable. And it's got the mappable buttons here in the back. And look, Microsoft. Oh, what's that? It came with a rechargeable battery that I can replace. Isn't that a novel idea? It's extremely comfortable to hold in the hand. And it has Hall effect sensors, so the problem that I have with all of these guys should not be an issue with this. And for those of you that want your analog triggers, which for the Switch I don't know why you would, this has analog triggers. The buttons are meant to look and feel like an original Game Boy, and they do. Like, everything on this controller just feels like a premium device. The D-pad is the best D-pad I have used for a modern system. It is phenomenal. This is my go-to for Switch now. This is the one I use, the 8BitDo Pro 2. Fantastic. But it doesn't stop there. USB-C, rechargeable. It should be standard across the board. With most of these controllers I'm going to show you today do have USB-C. But if you look here, it's got a little switch here in the back. The switch is between Switch, Android. I'm guessing that's direct input, and then X input. So you can use this via Bluetooth on your PC as well, if you wanted to do PC gaming with the 8BitDo Pro 2. It's a good controller, man. This thing, top notch. Highly recommend. Which, again, how much would you assume that this controller costs? So let's just bring the Switch controller back over here for comparison. $70, $50, $70, $50. The only feature this controller here does not have that this controller has is NFC. Also, I should mention, because it is a feature that kind of bugs me about this controller, it's the only real negative I have. This controller does not wake the Switch up. You can't wake the Switch up with this controller. It's very annoying, but even with that, I find myself going to this controller. And 8BitDo doesn't stop there, man. They also make these guys. The 8BitDo SN30 Pro. Hall effect joysticks, digital triggers. You know, it also has motion controls. Does not have the replaceable battery, but that's okay, because the battery life on this is great. It's like 20 hours of battery life. It's pretty nice. As opposed to the PlayStation 5's 4 to 5 hours of battery life, which is the big... yeah. So it got me thinking, why are the first-party controllers so expensive? Like, really, what makes them so expensive? Because I went to Target and just happened across this guy here. This is the Ghillie Kit Zen Pro by Ghillie Kit. This controller smashes the shit out of the Pro controller in terms of comfort and usability. This does everything the Switch controller does. Everything. Every single thing. Except for NFC. It does not have NFC. but it's got analog triggers. Oh my god, the face buttons. Look at these face buttons, man. These are premium. It almost feels like a mechanical switch. I have not taken the controller apart, so I don't know if it has mechanical switches or not, but it totally feels like it. They're probably rubber domes, but it's so nice. The D-pad is fantastic, but these are the stars of the show. I don't know if there's some kind of like anti-friction ring. It might be what this shiny plastic here is, but they just glide over the controller. It feels incredible. Very nice. And of course, this controller also can be used on Android, Windows, Switch, and direct input. So, again, why are these controllers so expensive? This was $50. 50 bucks. It's heavy, man. It's a heavy controller. It's heavier than the Pro controller. And it just feels like an extremely premium device. So I don't know. It's just bizarre to me that the Pro controller and the PlayStation controllers and the Xbox controllers are all so expensive. Yet you have these third-party controllers that are coming out that are doing all of the stuff that you need the controllers for these first-party consoles to do, but at a price that's sometimes half the price of your first-party offerings. It's a very strange place to be. So this is the Candy Con from GameStop. This is a super cool idea. I would like to see more third-party companies kind of attempt this, but I think this is the first time I've ever seen a company do it and do it right. So this controller is entirely customizable. You've got face plates that you can swap out at any given time, just simply by doing that. They pop off, pop right back on. They're held on by magnets, so you never have to worry about it coming off during play or anything like that. You have to physically remove them. It's got magnets the whole way around. But that's not all. Even the joysticks. The joysticks can be customized. So I think I'm going to switch over to using a second black joystick as opposed to the other white, because why not? I can do that. I can do that. D-pad is completely replaceable as well. It's one of these circle-shaped D-pads. Excellent clickiness. This is my go-to PC controller. Why would this be my go-to PC controller? Let me show you. Because it comes with this, a 2.4 gigahertz dongle that you can plug into your PC, or any PC, and immediately use it. There is no need to deal with Bluetooth or syncing your controller whatsoever. If you plug this into any PC that you can use a controller on, it'll immediately work. That is huge. Me and Brandon use this all the time. When he comes downstairs to stream with me, he brings his own CandyCon controller and his dongle, plugs into my PC, and we're immediately off to the races, guys. This, if you find yourself at GameStop and you're in the market for a new controller, I cannot recommend this controller enough. I absolutely adore the CandyCon controller. It was a surprise how much I've liked this. Everything on this controller also feels fantastic. Why is that? Because it's essentially the exact same shape and size of the Xbox controller. It, like, literally, they are about as close to the same shape as you can get without stepping on some, like, trademark and patent shit. But yeah, it's a phenomenal controller. The only thing that took me a bit to get used to was the placement of the plus and minus button. Plus and minus? What? That's right. This guy can also be used on your Nintendo Switch via Bluetooth. I mean, what more could you ask for in a controller? It's got these buttons here, and there is a memory button here that I personally removed because I would find myself hitting that memory button, and that memory button does weird things to the buttons, and so it did take a little bit of DIY to make it the controller that I choose to play PC games with. But yeah, man, this thing is phenomenal. So I'm curious, guys. Do you have an opinion? Do you know why these first-party controllers are so expensive? And what's your favorite one? Like, out of these three, like I was saying at the beginning, out of these three, the Xbox, the Switch, and the PlayStation, my absolute favorite is definitely the Pro controller in terms of comfort, and the PS5 controller in terms of features. But I can't find myself justifying the price of these guys. I can't justify it when I'm buying other third-party controllers like this guy, who are $15, $20, even $30 cheaper at times, that feel just as good, if not better at times. So, what are your thoughts? Leave your thoughts in the comment below. I would love to know what your experiences with these controllers are. Am I wrong about the Xbox controller? Is this actually the best controller ever designed in terms of functionality? I don't know. Let me know. But I know this is a bit of a different video for us, for me. I hope you've enjoyed. If you did, leave me a like. I would appreciate that very much. If you're not subbed to the channel, consider doing so. I'm a huge controller nerd, so I'll probably be talking about controllers again in the future. I love controllers. Anyways, till the next time, take care. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.